From incredibly useful to extremely unexpected, Project Zomboid is full of little details that are easy to miss. Like the fact that you can roleplay Hitman and assassinate another player using the hidden poison mechanic. If you create a meal with a minimum of 3 ingredients, a new option will show up in the menu that will allow you to add bleach to the mix. This will act as a poison and put any character that consumes it into a forever sleep. Speaking of unconventional weapons, there are 7 different guitars you can come across in the game, and you can use them to fight off zombies. They're actually surprisingly strong, but the part you may have missed is the custom sound effect. When you smack zombies, it sounds like this. While you're out looting, you'll eventually set off a car alarm. This will have every zombie in the area rushing over to check out the action. What you may not know is that you can easily turn off the alarm just by removing the car battery. All you need to do is open up vehicle mechanics and unscrew it with a screwdriver. It'll turn off the alarm instantly. When you're running from zombies, hopping fences is a great way to escape, but sometimes you get unlucky and take a tumble. Not a big deal in the grand scheme of things, but you probably didn't notice that you dropped something when you fell. You likely won't even miss it until you find yourself wondering where you lost your glasses. The chances of this happening increases if you're tired or overweight. Speaking of weight, exercising is a great way to keep off those apocalypse pounds. It'll increase your character's strength and fitness over time. You probably already know it'll make you sore the next day, but you may not have noticed that the animations also change over time. Another great way to keep your character healthy is with some fresh protein. But don't worry, you don't need to go searching for a fishing rod to catch some fish. You can make a simple spear with a stick and a kitchen knife. Then just go out and stab the water with it. It's not a bad idea if it works, and this will work. Maybe. A simpler way to get healthy food is to go out looting. You can find some amazing stuff to fill your pantry, maybe grab a second fridge. Oh, and a new bed would be awesome. But don't get too greedy. Your back can only take so much before you start losing health, and you may not know this, but you won't survive a fall from a height while overburdened. Now, just because it's a zombie apocalypse doesn't mean you need to eat like a savage. Carrying around utensils will not only allow you to eat faster, you'll get a custom animation depending on which utensil your character uses. Now that's how you eat canned soup. Heating up your food is also not a bad idea and will make your character much happier. Just remember, you're not supposed to put metal in the microwave. You think the developers aren't pedantic enough to include this little detail? You'd be wrong, and now your base is burned down. Cooking is pretty dangerous in Project Zomboid altogether, since forgetting to turn off the oven is another great way to start a house fire. At this point, I'd suggest raw and prepackaged food, just to be safe. If you're being kept awake with nightmares of your base burning to the ground, you can always take some sleeping pills to help your character relax. Just remember to take them in moderation. A few too many and your character will go into a forever sleep. Same goes if you mix sleeping pills and alcohol. While we're on the topic of deadly mistakes, eating wild berries and mushrooms can be another way to speedrun the game over screen. Unless you've read the herbalist manual, all the food you'll forage will be unknown, and at least half of it will be deadly. All the insects are safe to eat though, if you can stomach it. If you find yourself suddenly damp for some reason outside of combat, you're probably wearing too much clothing. Yep, your character will sweat just like a real boy. If you let them overheat, they'll get thirsty faster, but letting them freeze will increase their appetite. To help remove some of the dampness, you can use a dishcloth to wipe yourself off. The cool thing you probably didn't notice is that the rag you used will become wet and useless for a little while. You'll actually have to wait for it to dry off naturally before you can use it again. Weather-appropriate clothing is severely underrated, especially when it comes to wearing shoes, which you should be doing anytime you're outdoors. While you can probably get away with walking around barefoot, the second that you run, you'll cut up the bottom of your feet and it will suck. Clothes are not mandatory outdoors, but shoes are. Speaking of style, if you want to keep your character looking sharp, you'll need to hunt down a razor and some scissors. Hair is not a set and forget thing in Project Zomboid. It'll grow out over time and you'll be rocking a shaggy aesthetic if you don't pay attention to it. Keeping your base nice is a full-time job during the zombie apocalypse, especially when the undead break in, leaving a huge mess of blood inside your home. You may not know this, but you can actually clean off the blood splatter from your walls and floor. All you need is some bleach and a kitchen rag. Finally, a non-nefarious reason to use bleach. You can even replace the windows that the zombies break, but for this, you're gonna need to find a crowbar, a hammer, and level up your carpentry to level 2. Once you meet the requirements, you can pick up the whole glass with the pickup menu. It takes some work, but it's worth it to keep your base pristine. Also, if you like your next door neighbor's floors better than yours, no problem. You can tear it out and install it in your house instead. For this, you'll need a hammer and just one level of carpentry. No more crappy floors for you, and it works for carpet. Now, leveling carpentry, while useful, is a mission that can take some time, but what do you do if you need water and don't have the skills to build a rain collector? You may not know this, but you can just leave some containers outside. Cooking pots, paint buckets, even coffee cups will work. You just gotta wait for it to rain and they'll all fill up. You can even get water directly from a puddle when it rains. If you find yourself out and about in a rainstorm, just click on the puddle and you can wash yourself, drink from it, or use it to fill up a water bottle. Just remember, it's tainted water, so it can kill you. If you are planning to go for a walk in the rain, don't forget to take an umbrella. You don't have to use everything as a weapon. Just equip it as secondary and select open. Then you can use it normally to shield you from the rain. Another handy detail to know is that you can use water to disinfect bandages, specifically boiling water. Just throw them into a cooking pot, bring it to a boil, and boom, you've sterilized bandages ready to go, and you didn't waste any alcohol in the process. And while we're on the topic of boiling things, don't overcook your food, since eating burnt food will kill you faster than the zombie virus. Not sure why, but it's unreasonably deadly. A much safer option is just to eat ice cream. Did you know that if you have a tub of ice cream, a cone, and a spoon, you can make an ice cream cone? If you have some fruits or chocolates, you can even decorate it to make it more tasty. If, at the end of the day, you do manage to cook a nice meal, don't forget that you can use bowls to separate big portions into smaller ones. It's much easier than carrying around a giant heavy cooking pot, and you can refrigerate the leftovers. Once you're done with something, however, you can actually delete it from the world completely by using a trash can. Just drop it in and select delete all at the top. Make sure you do this with all the burnt food you forgot about. If you find yourself looting a cop car, you'll be surprised to find that you can't move between the front and the back seats without getting out of the car. This isn't a bug. The developers thought about and actually included the police divider. While we're on the topic of cars, driving is not the simplest task in Project Zomboid. But if you're planning a long trip, there is a hidden feature to make it smoother. You can turn on cruise control just like you would in a real car. To activate it, hit Shift W and then press S to turn it off at any time. Just keep an eye out for abandoned cars in the middle of the road while you do this. Lastly, and this one is my favorite, if you sprint and then accidentally hit something, it looks hilarious. Remember, you need to actually sprint using Alt to experience this for yourself, not the regular shift run. Well worth doing just for the laugh. Bonus, you can use the game's unique mechanics to build a hidden bridge or base out in the middle of the water. For this to work, you'll need a hammer, some planks and nails, a bag of dirt, and a single level of carpentry. Once you have your haul, make your way to the nearest river and build a wooden floor right over the top of the water. When the time comes to cover it up, just pour some dirt over the top. It'll blend in perfectly and remain usable. I have some new and exciting stuff planned for the channel. Hit that subscribe button if you're keen to see it. Thanks for watching.